zich misschien nog herinnert van de uitzending 2 jaar geleden, Jacqueline Joubert.
Bonsoir, millions d'amis.
Goedenavond, meine Damen. Goedenavond, meine Herren.
Bonsoir, l'Europe. J'ai le plaisir ce soir d'être l'hôtesse européenne.
On behalf of the BBC.
Le Grand-Duché est très heureux ce soir de vous souhaiter la bienvenue.
De ce 4e Grand Prix.
Wird mit der Plakette des Grand Prix.
Welcome to the 8th annual Eurovision Song Contest.
The Eurovision Song Contest is the longest-running international song competition, like ever, and has been a staple of European culture since its inception in 1956. The origins of this contest come from post-World War II sentiments, a way for Europeans to band together after their battles nearly tore them apart. And what better way to do that than with song? Or at least that is what the European Broadcasting Union thought when they formed in Switzerland just 6 years prior to the contest. And after broadcasting such events, such as the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, the newly founded union looked to another song competition running at the time, Soiree, the song competition for Italy and Italian broadcaster RAI, as a way to foster cooperation between these broadcasters/countries, as well as, quote, putting transactional live television to the test, promoting television as well as to encourage the production of original songs. This was the basis for a competition that, aside from 2020, has aired every spring for over 60, nearly 70 years, giving us decades of memorable moments, wacky acts, and varying qualities of music. For me, I found out about this competition during lockdown in 2020, and boy, I did not realize what I was getting into. And I decided that while I'm at it, to watch every single contest up to now, which for me is 2025, take some notes, give an overview, my favorites, least favorites, weirdest, whatever, as well as give a very scientific ranking of some of the songs. Not all of them, or this video would be 7 to 9 hours long, I think. Don't worry, this won't be that long. This video is the start of all of these contests spanning across 7 decades. So join me as we go from black and white to color, from modest clothing to more extravagant clothing, from simple stages to literal stadiums, and from ballads to, well, actually more ballads. Ballads do really well at this competition. As we start from the beginning of it all in Lugano, Switzerland. The year is 1956, and we are at the Teatro Crucial, forgive me for the pronunciation, on the 24th of May, where history would be made, the very first contest. And it wasn't televised. Since TVs were not the norm around the world yet, this broadcast would, for the most part, primarily be on the radio. The good news is that there's only one other contest that does not have a TV reporting. The bad news is that it is not 1957, or 1958, or 1959. Well, actually, not 1960. For our first Eurovision lineup, it consists of just 7 countries. Well, I actually shouldn't say countries. When I refer to countries in ESC, I mean the broadcasters that represent them. Like for instance, with our original 7, we have Belgium, which is represented by the National Institute of Radio Broadcasting, INR, France with the Radiodiffusion Télévision Française, or RTF, Germany with the NWRV, the full thing is too long for me to say, Italy with RAI, Luxembourg with RTL Group SA, aka CLT, the Netherlands with the Nederlandse Omroepenstation, oh man, my pronunciation is just so off, along with the host Switzerland and their broadcaster SRG SSR, Swiss Broadcasting Corporation. Now this lineup was supposed to be 10 instead of 7, but those 3 countries, that we will get to next year, all missed their deadlines to participate. Now let me explain the rules that the ESC decided on for this contest, because while some still remain to this day in some slightly tweaked forms, there are some that have completely disappeared, which I would chalk it down to the era this contest existed. For one, no groups were allowed, only solo performers. There was no dancing allowed either. You could only just sing, because this is a song contest. I laugh, but you'll find out later. And each country was to send in 2 entries, which of course got whittled down to 1 after this year. But for this contest, there were 14 songs from 7 countries. Imagine if that rule stayed. While those rules and some others would be relaxed, the rules that have remained have helped to define the contest, like how you can only send in original songs, no covers, and that songs have to be at most 3 minutes 30 seconds long. This would change to just 3 minutes. And here's the fun facts, or some fun facts. Because our country, to be named later, did not participate in this contest, this is, I believe, the only contest not to have a single English entry. This contest would be hosted by hosted by Lohengrin Filipello, who is to this date the only solo male host in ESC history. Now, I'm not going to go over every song here, again, time restraints and all that, but I will go over the songs I find the most interesting, for better or for worse, which is a bit difficult for these early contests. 1956 in particular. I mean, it's 50s music, which is the NBA equivalent to the dead ball era. After further thought, I do not believe that this is true. I would just compare this early version of Eurovision to any early version of any sports league or any organization ever, especially at the crossroads of radio and television, where the technology is changing, the styles is going to be very different to what it is today. I mean, yeah, they're all just laying the foundation for what is to come. It doesn't mean that there aren't any gems. There are a lot of gems. Not a lot of gems. There are not a lot of gems though, early Eurovision. There are some gems in early Eurovision, just like there's some early gems in early NBA. But yeah, I retract that statement about the dead ball era. Yeah, that is reserved, funnily enough, for exactly where the dead ball era of the NBA would occur. So, yeah. Everything sounds like it belongs to a 50s movie while that camera pans into that first scene. Like, it has that feeling.
En blij als in Holland in het voorjaar en de wei.
I promise I will be a lot more positive about these songs. In fact, there are some songs during this early era of ESC that are some of my all-time faves. Most of them are winners. But there's so much slog to get through. Like, not every song is a 5-act play. But I digress.
Heute am Quai der Vergangenheit einen Saal mit Blick auf das Meer.
To be fair, even though this song is exactly what I hate about 50s music, I don't know, it kind of grew on me. I'm a bit of a hypocrite, sue me. These song reviews won't be the most in-depth, I'm not a music expert, but I will note songs that I am fond of, and even though I don't speak German, I don't speak the majority of the languages shown here actually. I appreciate the vibe of the song, the setup, how it paints a scene, and how it does it in an interesting manner. A lot of the songs like these do a lot that this song does, but it never grabs me. In my opinion, this song kinda does grab me, and that's why it's in my top 3. I won't do a top 3 for every year, but you know, just for record's sake.
Crois pas que toute ta vie on t'aimera pour tes beaux yeux, car si tu leur fais envie, c'est que t'es jeune et rien de mieux. Ne crois pas que tu seras.
There's going to be a theme around these songs. If it's fast, it most likely passes. I'm a simple man. I hear lyrics I want to repeat, I like it. I'm a sucker for these catchy songs, and I can't stop saying over and over and over and over and over again. Oh yeah, it's in my top 3. And Luxembourg is going to be on here a lot, so be ready for that.
Dich bringt am Mittwoch der Billy nach Haus. Am Donnerstag gehst du mit Tommy aus. So geht das jede Nacht.
This song is just fun, bouncy, and a rainbow among the very slow clouds in this ESC sky.
Aprite le finestre al nuovo sole, è primavera, è primavera.
Rêve il est là, et me poursuivant sans trêve il est là. Il a le pouvoir du diable qui règne sur.
Now for the results. In the early days of ESC, countries used to send jurors to the host site and they would vote for their favorite song. This format would be tweaked for a while, and I'll say why this format was scrapped. But for the most part, jurors would be used to decide the winner for every ESC song for about 40 to 50 years, to around the turn of the millennium. For this contest, each country sent in 2 jurors to decide every country did except for Luxembourg. For financial reasons, I put that in quotes, they would be replaced by Swiss jurors. And if you add in the fact that the jurors could vote for their own country, a rule that would be swiftly reversed, well, congratulations, Switzerland. You won the very first ESC. Definitely not rigged. The winning performance was by Liz Assia with her second song that she sang that night, called Refrain. I have no other notes about this song. It's fine. I can say that refrain winning was the only information we know about that night, as the rankings, aside from the winner, were never released. The only song contest where we don't know where most of the countries placed. If you are a Euro fan, you will know her, as future hosts and contest alike will always make a reference to this song being the first winner, and she even has some cameos in future finals. I expect nothing less from the first winner. In 1957, we went to Frankfurt, West Germany for the second contest. This time there were 10 participants, with our original 7, along with the debuts of Austria, or the ORF, Denmark, Staatsradiofonen, and the United Kingdom, of course with the BBC. These were the countries that missed the deadline for last year. The first time we have a broadcast at ESC, though most still listen to it on the radio. Many changes were made from last year, including that each country is now represented by only one song, which can be performed with up to 2 performers on stage. Each country's jury now comprises of 10 individuals who awarded each 1 vote to their favorite song. I call this the 1 juror 1 vote format. I mean, it's simple, but I mean, it works. And of course, we now know the full results of this contest, considering that there was a scoreboard that tallied all the points given to each song. I should also add that jurors cannot vote for their own country now, and that they have to stay in their own country. Rules that remain to this day. This contest was a lot better than the previous, but that fact is obvious with all the changes they made. This contest felt more like a contest, and it felt less like an evening soiree. Were the songs better? Yeah, for the most part. There were some interesting things that happened during this contest. For one, the length of the songs varied wildly, with the UK's first ever entry, which is Patricia Breden's All, was only 1 minute and 52 seconds. While Italy's song, Nunzio Gallo's Corda della mia chitarra, lasted over 5 minutes. Now, it seems to me that this whole rule around the 3-minute 30-second song length was more unwritten than anything, and there were protests for this song to be banned/disqualified, but it remained. And after, the EBU put a hard 3-minute limit on song, a rule that persists to this day. Now, you will understand that some ESC rules are unwritten or were unwritten/unaddressed, like the song length, and it took pretty blatant diversion from the norm in order for the EBU to address it. In fact, this phenomenon will happen a couple more times in the future, so be on the lookout for that. Anything else? Well, a telephone was used for a prop, first for the contest. Well, using for a prop, not a telephone. Well, actually, it was both. A telephone was used for the first time, but I'll just get to that. Speaking of telephones, oh, would you look at that? The host for the night, Anaid I really should have worked on these pronunciations. Anaid Ipilijan used the telephone to call in each jury in order to get their votes, which was also a first. Denmark's first ever entry was with a pair, Bertha Wilke and Gustav Winkler, with their song. And at the end of their song, they shared a great farewell kiss that lasted 13 seconds. A Eurovision record, I believe? And of course, the first of several. This kiss sparked some controversy due to the fact that this was the 1950s, silly. I kid. It was really because of some of the more conservative countries that clutched their pearls. So it was exactly for the 1950s reason. It makes more sense in the context of the song, which is about a wife saying goodbye to her sailor husband. In fact, a lot of the songs, or several of the songs during this era were very direct with their messaging. Like super direct with their messaging. Fun fact, Lisa Sia and Corey Broken, who both performed in the first contest, both came back for this year, marking a first time that somebody did that in a long line of multiple ESC participants. And for the top 3,
Zit niet zo suf met die eeuwige krant. Gaat niet van slaap of verveling.
I really like the violin in Corey Broken's voice. They're gonna be simple. I don't know what else to say.
Wohin, kleines Pony, wollen wir reisen?
Ponies are very nice. I also do like his voice.
Grazie, Sissi. Hallo. Nada por me. Mein Herz ist schon vergeben.
Her use of a prop here, which is a telephone, is pretty neat, considering it is the main point of the song. Again, These songs are very direct in their messaging. Well, actually, her use of a telephone is equivalent to her searching for happiness, but I mean, that's metaphor, and that's going deep into a song thing, which I won't do much unless it's relevant. Now for the voting sequence, the very first of its kind, inspired by the BBC's The Festival of British Songs, which included a map of all the participants. And I feel like if I want to properly convey the true contenders, I will show songs with a fighting chance in each vote. As for the votes, it wasn't even close. The Netherlands crossed 20 before any other country got to double digits, and they just ran away with it. So there's really nothing special here. France was second with 17, and considering the max a country can get is 90 points, this really was a whitewash. In 1958, we travel across the border to Hilversum, the Netherlands, starting the tradition of the previous winner hosting the following contest. Even though this only happened because the other countries refused to host, but I mean, traditions have to start somehow. And of course, this tradition of hosting the previous contest after winning it will last until present day, with some notable exceptions. We'll cross that bridge when we get to that. 10 countries participated like last time, but the United Kingdom decided to sit this one out. And in lieu of them came Sweden, aka SR, their broadcaster, and they made their first appearance. Fun fact, I was actually wrong about that last fun fact. There were 2 shows that did not feature any English songs, and this one is the last one, as of 2025, of course. This is the contest where the TV aspects were really starting to form. There was an opening song, there were 2 intervals, and the stages were becoming a bit more pronounced. Well, just a bit though. There were even more performances that utilized more visuals, like ripping out a page from a diary or showcasing the various amount of records one possesses. I mean, again, it's a start, and it's good by the standards that we're in right now. Those countries that did them, Denmark and Germany, respectively, came in the bottom half. So it's clear that Europe is just not ready for those types of performances. Again, this is a song contest. Anyways, here's Volare. This is the biggest song in Eurovision history, both in the figurative and literal sense. Mr. Mondongo's song, which will be renamed to the aforementioned Volare, would make history, not only hitting #1 in the Billboard charts, the very first #1 in fact, and not only winning the first Grammy for Record and Song of the Year, but in many ways, this song gave a lot of legitimacy to this contest, saying to all the budding artists out there, hey, you can be like Domenico here, which obviously adds like an additional 16 years to a shelf life. The success of this song kept the ESC train rolling, and on top of that, this song is pretty good. So, like, I like the record lady, so what? Along with Corey Broken, like I mentioned, Lisa Sia came back to Eurovision. This time, this was her 4th time singing a song here, which is crazy to think about. Unlike Corey Broken, Lisa Sia would not come back to the Eurovision, except for cameos. And yeah, this is my favorite of her 4. Maybe it's the fact that there's some energy here, even if she is singing about, like, what is she singing about here? Having a lot of Italian food? You know what? That makes what happens next a little bit more ironic. Now for the voting sequence. Oh wait, here's the host.
In English, you are informed that because of technical difficulties on the Eurovision network, the first song, Italy, hasn't been seen and heard in various countries. Therefore, this song will be repeated again.
Anything to hear that song again. Anyways, for the voting sequence, it was actually pretty close. So while Miss Lips here collects the votes, let me explain the format of the voting sequence. It's quite simple. The hostess calls in the spokesperson of each country that will give their votes, if they can hear them. again, 1950s telephone technology. That spokesperson will then give the song number of the country's name, and the amount of votes they received in that order. They try to stick to that order as best as they can. They do the voting sequence in reverse song order. So the country that performed last gives the first votes. And also, they also have to announce the receiving countries in song order. So if, let's say, Italy, France, Sweden, Germany, all of them got votes, they had to announce
1 point.
Italy,
Yes?
1 vote.
then
Number 3, France, 7 votes.
voor
Number
Frankrijk.
5, Sweden, 1 vote. Number 8,
Yes, number 8.
Germany, 1
Germany.
vote.
did I hear that right? 7 out of 10 points for France? Okay, so here's another thing with this system. Unless you were hated by the majority of the countries, it's surprisingly very easy to front run. The term here, that means if 3 juries really like you, you'll win like 9 out of 10 times.
Evening, Copenhagen.
Good evening.
Daar
Will
is
you please
Zweden.
give me the result of the Danish jury?
Oh yes, it's from Denmark here. We have given 9 marks to France. France, 9 marks.
And that's...
Case in point. Though Switzerland does make a comeback here, it all comes down to Italy here. Maybe I was wrong after all. Maybe...
Dames en
Voulez-vous
heren,
me donner les résultats du jury italien?
21 om 20.
Au numéro 3, France, 6 points.
Ja.
Le numéro 3.
Oh, never mind. There's the third jury, which means France gets their first ESC title with a song that is quite literally meant to put everyone asleep. Everyone to sleep, I should say. You're telling me Volare got third to this?
Dors, mon amour, le soleil est encore loin du jour.
I would have preferred even if Let's See a song win. This? 5 points from 6 jurors. 6 juries. And 22 points from 3. Oh my god. 1959, Cannes, the resort of the original location of the aptly named film festival, is our destination for the 4th Grand Prix. 11 countries came out for the show, with the UK returning after their disappointment in 1957. And they will never leave again. And Monaco, represented by the TMC, participating for the very first time. Unfortunately, this means that one of the countries withdrew, and that country is Luxembourg. But even with that, we are still at a new high score in countries. This show is slowly finding its form, with creative ways to introduce all the participants. Are those twins? Unfortunately, these songs are not. But yet though. We are getting there. A new rule was introduced, that was for the juries. No musical experts could be allowed on the national juries, probably due to how Volare was treated by the professionals. 1 year too late. God. We have some new innovations here, and that comes in the form of movements. People were starting to move on the stage, especially those German twins. Look at them go. Anything else? Well, Domenico returned to say bye-bye to his bambino. I don't know why I said it like that. But unlike with Volare, the judges were not that amused. But let's get to the music, shall we? Monaco came in with the energy. This song is pretty good, at least compared to their other French compatriots this evening. Unfortunately, the juries just don't agree with me, and this song came last, just avoiding bagel. My goodness.
Als ik vroeg, ben je trouw? Een beetje. Verliefd is iedereen, wel eens, dat weet je.
Like I said before, the bar to be good with me is just not that high. But this song does clear that very easily. It's nice to groove along, and I do admit, it's fun to say.
Een beetje. Neath the tree in the meadow where you said you loved me. Sing little birdie, sing your song, sing.
The United Kingdom, as we will find out, delivers a lot of catchy tunes to this contest. Funnily enough, there would be several ESC songs, a lot more ESC songs about birds, but it is probably a distant third to the most sung about topics in this competition, which would be evident Honestly, shortly. Well, one of them will be evident very shortly. The other one is circumstantial. Apparently, Calypso is Austrian? Who knew, right? This voting sequence is pretty suspenseful, and it actually changes leaders several times. You can tell from the start that this vote would come down to the wire.
Ici Bruxelles, numéro 5, Hollande, 3. Numéro 1, France, 2. Numéro 10, Angleterre, 2. Numéro 6, Allemagne, 1.
Encore une fois, pour qui?
Numéro 8, Suisse, 1. Numéro 3, Italie, 1. Total 10, terminé, Bruxelles.
Merci.
Switzerland would take the lead after the United Kingdom's vote, and it will stay that way until country 7.
Elle était jolie, cette petite Suisse.
Merci. Bonne soirée. Alors, eh bien, c'est la Suisse qui mène toujours par 11 points. Et maintenant, j'appelle les Pays-Bas. À vous, les Pays-Bas.
Ici, nous sommes Pays-Bas. Chanson numéro 2, Danemark, 1 point. Chanson numéro 7, Suède, 3 points.
Oh, mais ils en prennent 3.
Chanson numéro 10, Grande-Bretagne, 5 points.
Paf.
Chanson numéro 10, Grande-Bretagne, 5 points.
Ça prend la tête, je
Chanson
crois.
numéro 11, Belgique, 1 point. Les Pays-Bas ont terminé.
Merci.
And the UK was in front. It remained close with 5 countries that could possibly take it. Let's see what Italy does.
Chanson numéro 5, Pays-Bas, 7 points.
Chanson numéro 5, Pays-Bas, 7 points.
Wow. Well, France can't make it back to back, but it all comes down to the Netherlands versus the United Kingdom. And maybe Switzerland.
Et il n'y a plus que la France à voter.
J'appelle la France. À vous, France.
Alors là, attention.
Pour la France,
2 points
chanson
d'avance
numéro 3,
actuellement pour les Pays-Bas sur la Grande-Bretagne.
3 points. La chanson numéro 5, Pays-Bas, 4 points.
Les Pays-Bas ont gagné.
Chanson numéro 5, Pays-Bas, 4 points.
Et chanson numéro 10, Royaume-Uni, 1 point.
Chanson numéro 10, Royaume-Uni, 1 point.
Qui doit finir second, je crois.
Terminé, merci.
Oh, that's it. Ultimately was Italy's votes that was the most decisive, as they gave the highest mark of the night to the Netherlands, who are the first country to win this competition twice. The UK will finish second, a phrase that I will say a lot. Oh boy. Getting Vietnam flashbacks like right now. Oh boy. In fact, let's get a counter started. There's a lot. For the first time in ESC history, in addition to the winning song getting a reprisal, the rest of the top 3 would also get a reprisal, a tradition that started with this contest, which is something, I guess. But on the while, I'm not upset at this result. I like Emichen, and I'm just glad that the top 2 were not French ballads. Oh boy. Okay, well, that's for the future. And it is kind of crazy that the Netherlands were able to win twice before, what is that, 3/4 of the current countries won once? But I'm sure that'll be resolved soon enough. Oh, well then. We return to the United Kingdom. Well, here's the circumstantial part of every country that wins gets to host. We've started to run into a problem that will be ever occurring at this competition in the form of financial stability. While one country wins too often, too quickly, they often have to forego hosting duties in order to not go bankrupt. Hosting is expensive, folks. In this case for the Netherlands, they passed along hosting duties to the country that came second, which means for the first of many times, the EEC goes to our first capital city, London, in particular, the Royal Festival Hall, for the 5th edition of the Grand Prix de la Chanson. The record of participants goes up. In addition to Luxembourg rejoining the contest, Norway joined their Scandinavian brothers in Sweden and Denmark for the first time, meaning that 13 countries now fight for the, thing. Wait, what do they win? In previous contests, I believe that the conductor slash songwriter received a medal or something. But in this contest, the winner will receive a, let me look this up, a silver gilt vase. It's something, I guess. This show is, well, not what I expected, at least from a viewing perspective. For a country that introduced the Beatles to the world and was the birth of pop music, this show does not reflect that. It feels like ESE, at least from the UK's perspective, would stay far away from the trends that would define this decade and take a far more conservative approach. At least this contest was hosted by Catherine Boyle, aka Katie Boyle, a name that you will become very familiar with soon enough. That should show you how many times the UK will host the competition in the coming years. Will I keep putting the UK in my top 3? Depends. The bar is not high. High.
Looking low, 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 wondering why did she go? So long, I
only put this here because A, this is the first entry in the magical language of Luxembourgish, and B, people did not appreciate this language in its beauty, and it only received 1 point and finished last. And I only put this here because this song is actually pretty neat. And it came fourth. Surely the start of great things for Norway. I bet you I probably mentioned their name so many times.
Ik ben zo blij dat er in mij altijd narcissen zijn. En dat er vruchten, vlinders, veulens, vogels, vissen zijn.
And I only put this here because of the irony, as it only got 1 more point than Luxembourg, despite this long being called What Luck, translated from Dutch. Or is it irony? Because the man who sung this, or sang this, Rudy Karel, went on to be a famous comedian in Germany and the Netherlands. So maybe he foresaw the future. This is their best result, and it came after their worst. Brilliance. I mean, this song is number 1 for me by default. It has a nice change of tempo, and it keeps me engaged more than the majority of the songs performed here, so yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, now you've heard all the songs, and in the first few moments you'll hear the first jury chairman call out the votes of his national jury.
The voting, after France took decades to connect.
Hello, Paris, may I have your votes, please?
Bonsoir Londres,
that's much better.
Ici Paris. Voici les votes du jury français.
Germany took an early lead, but that was soon not the case as Germany themselves gave Monaco 7 points.
Song number 8, Monaco, 7 points.
Song number 8, 7 points.
The lead. The Swiss gave the UK the lead shortly after with 4 points of their own, but it would be the leaders themselves that would kickstart a great fight at the top.
Pour Londres, ici Monte Carlo, voici les votes du jury monégasque. 1, Royaume-Uni, 1 point. 11, Allemagne, 2 points. 12, Italie, 2 points. 13, France, 5 points.
13, 5 points.
That fight would be shortly interrupted by the great battle of Katie Boyle versus the telecommunications.
I'm so sorry, Vienna. Will you carry on now, please? Will you start again? Vous voulez commencer, s'il vous plaît, Vienne? Je ne vous ai pas écouté. Je vous ai perdu maintenant. I've lost you completely. I'm very sorry, Vienna. I've lost you. I think I'll have to go on to Norway.
Vienna is here again.
Vienna is here again. Vienna, may I have your votes? I'm sorry we interrupted you.
Austria, after a brief pause, would give the UK an extended lead at the top, 16-11. Over the halfway mark, Norway would ensure that no country would leave London empty-handed and extend the UK's lead once again.
And song number 13, France, 5 marks.
Song number 13, 5 marks.
Well, never mind. The plot thickens, I suppose. Belgium, jury number 9, gives UK only 1 point, which would be alright, but
Chanson numéro 13, France, 3 points.
Song number 13, 3 points.
And the lead is only one. Denmark, during number 10, would give us our third lead change of the night.
And song number 13, France, 4 marks.
Song number 13. Song number 13, 4 marks.
And Luxembourg would make it 4.
Song number 1, United Kingdom, 5 points.
Song number 1, 5 points.
Meaning that the UK led by 1. At this point, I will just let this play out. Country 12, take it away.
Come in Sweden. Hello, Stockholm. May I have your votes, please?
Yes, hello London, this is Stockholm. Here are the votes of the Swedish jury. Song number 1, United Kingdom, 1 mark. Song number 5, Belgium, 4 marks. Song number 11, Germany, 1 mark. Song number 13, France, 4 marks.
Song number 13, 4 votes.
And that completes the voting of the Swedish jury. Good evening.
It would be Sweden that stinks the United Kingdom because, as the audience would soon find out, the country still needed to vote.
And now our last jury. Come in United Kingdom. Hello, London.
Hello, Miss Boyle.
The UK's last votes will only confirm the second victory for
France is the clear winner of the Grand Prix Eurovision Song Contest of 1960 with the song Tom Philippe, which has been awarded 32 marks.
night. And if you're accounting, that means that the Netherlands and France have flip-flopped victories for the last 4 years, eating up all the Eurovision wins like greedy pigs. And we have another back-to-back for the United Kingdom with their second place. This one sucks more, and trust me, the future ones will suck even more. But at least this time they already lost before they got to their vote, so it could have been a lot worse. And would you look at that? Last year's winners presented the silver gilt vase to Jacqueline Boyer. I wonder if that will become a thing. Not the vase, of course. My God. Cannes again. On Saturday, for the first time, the 18th of March, 1961, as Jacqueline Joubert hosted the night again for France, as we hope to avoid France or the Netherlands winning this contest again. But not again were the 13 to compete, as 3 more nations joined the Eurovision soiree, with Finland, WWII, joining the growing Scandinavian bloc, along with Spain, who might add some more spice to this mixture with their broadcaster TVE, and finally Yugoslavia and their broadcaster JRT, the red-headed, in more ways than one, stepchild of the Eurovision family, who has recently escaped the jaws of the Soviet Union under their leader Josip Broz Tito, and who would serve as a link from west to east in this contest for many years to come. Well, technically Finland can serve as that link too, but I'll get into that when we get into that. As you can see, the contest was starting to grow in popularity, leading to more and more countries wanting to join. We are going to keep expanding for quite a while, though the next years will be a bit stagnant. The contest as a whole looks about the same, with some flowers for support, and like with the last contest, intros for the participants, something that will become a mainstay, but we are not there yet. As for the songs themselves, they're getting better. Spain's entry, I'll get to later, really packs a punch that this contest was sorely missing. And with more participants, it gives us a chance to listen to other flavors of Europe that weren't drenched in French. I don't have much else to say for the overview because there's a lot about the contestants this year, so let's get to the songs. Like I said, Spain packs a punch. Is this how people felt listening to the Beatles for the first time? I can't believe I made that comparison in the script. Oh my gosh. Obviously not, but because they still like 50s music, but I mean, I digress. The bounce, the twang, the Spanish flair, it's all great, man. Unfortunately, the jurors disrespectfully disagree as Spain finished 9th.
Viviana Petrovic.
I'm starting to realize that I should have covered Austria's and Denmark's and Sweden's debuts, but oh well. This song is fine, and for Yugoslavia, that seems to be the standard for them for a while. Man, that's kind of mean. Why am I so mean?
Überall auf der Welt fällt der Abschied schwer.
The song is fine, but the story behind Lael Anderson is quite fascinating. In 1939, she recorded a song called Lily Marleen, which 2 years later became immensely popular along the front lines of Germany, as the occupied Belgrade soldiers' radio was able to transmit the song all across Europe. And soon the song became popular with the Axis and Allied powers alike. She would be awarded with a golden disc once the war ended, but not everyone was a fan. I'll read the rest here from the wiki article. Joseph Goebbels prohibited it from being played on the radio. Anderson was not allowed to perform in public for 9 months, not just because of the song, but because of her friendship with Rolf, Lieberman, and other Jewish artists she had met in Zurich. In desperation, she reportedly attempted suicide. Anderson was so popular, however, that the Nazi government allowed her to perform again, albeit subject to several conditions, one of which she would not sing Lily Marleen. Goebbels did order her to make a new military version of the song with a significant drum, which was recorded in June 1942. In the remaining war years, Anderson had one minor appearance in a 1942 Nazi propaganda movie and was made to sing several propaganda songs in English, end quote. So this song is basically a comeback effort for her, and that story is quite sad actually. My goodness. Unfortunately for her, this comeback effort would fall flat as she would finish 13th with 3 points.
La nature étonnée, printemps, avril carillonne.
Look, man, sometimes I enjoy French favorite songs. Energy is here, man. I'm no longer bored to tears with a lot of these songs. Hallelujah. All it took was about 5 to 6 years. Look, sometimes I really enjoy French flavored songs, man. This song is great, man. The way Jean-Claude sings is great, and I don't even care that Jean-Claude is French and the song was composed and written by French people for Luxembourg. It's not like other countries weren't guilty of importing their songs, and Luxembourg does do this a lot in future entries, so I'm not really that concerned about that. Now, about the content of this song, many people have said that the lyrics suggest a gay relationship / romance, which you can definitely see, and it may be obvious now, but it wasn't obvious in 1961.
Et je pourrais t'aimer sans qu'on en parle en ville.
The lyrics don't mention any genders, and it definitely couldn't have, as gay rights would unfortunately be a long time away. In fact, we are in the midst of gay relationships being actively outlawed in several other participating countries, including the United Kingdom. This song may or may not be about a same-sex couple. It was, and we will never know for sure. We do now, as Jean-Claude never came out as much, and he died single and childless in the early 90s. All we have are theories and this song, which is still very good, and I really do like it. And I think that the fact that he was able to make a message of it, however vague it is very admirable. And it makes me like it a lot more. I still really like the song at the base level, don't get me wrong. I really like this song.
Are you sure? From the
Goodbye, farewell, I'm not sure what to do.
It's just So catchy, man. Fun fact, this song became the first ESC UK song to be a top 10 hit on the UK charts, which would be the highest until 1967. It's not that bad, and I see why I got top 3. For the interval act, there's an actual interval act. Tessa Beaumont and Max Bonzoni, the names of the act, they dance on the stage. And it's something, alright. But it's an interval act, and I kind of like the interval act. Now, for the voting, this can be summed up, in a 3-act play. In Act 1, there's the beginning tussle, where songs feel each other out, seeing who will rise.
Chanson numéro 14, Luxembourg, 3 voix.
Chanson numéro 14, 3 voix.
Song number 4, Finland, 2 votes.
Chanson numéro 4, 2 voix.
And song number 10, Switzerland, 2 votes.
La Suisse, 2 voix.
Then, Act 2, the first blow.
Numéro 11, 1 voix.
Chanson numéro 15, Royaume-Uni, 8 voix.
Chanson numéro 15, 8 voix.
The UK is the early contender yet again. Can they get over the hump at the 3rd time of asking? Well, not so fast, my friend, says Norway, as they boost up their friends in Denmark, giving a like-to-like blow no one has seen yet.
Chanson numéro 13, Danemark, 8 votes.
Chanson numéro 13, 8 voix.
Belgium wants to join the party, but they can't decide between...
Chanson numéro 12, Norvège, 5 voix.
Chanson numéro 12, 5 voix.
Chanson numéro 15, Angleterre, 1 voix.
Chanson numéro 15, 1 voix.
Chanson numéro 16, Italie, 4 voix.
Chanson numéro 16, Italie, 4 voix.
And there's some confusion. Who's gonna strike next? Well, Switzerland decides, and it's more decisive.
Chanson numéro 14, Luxembourg, 1 point.
Chanson numéro 14, 1 point.
Chanson numéro 15, Royaume-Uni, 7 points.
Chanson numéro 15, 7 points.
Wow, the UK is reigning supreme. No one seems to challenge them at this moment. Maybe it is their time.
Chanson numéro 14, Luxembourg, 5 voix.
Chanson numéro 14, 5 voix.
Et ceci termine le vote allemand.
Okay, well, it looks like the battle of supremacy will be between the UK and Luxembourg. I guess it's time for Act 3. The battle is moving slowly, and it seems like a long stare as both are waiting for the first country to blink. They both make steady gains, but this suits the UK, and they can just wind down the clock. Oh, wait, what's going on?
Chanson numéro 10, Suisse, 1 point.
Pardon, chanson numéro 10?
Chanson numéro 10, Suisse,
8 points. Pardon, 1 point.
1 point, oui.
1 point, très bien, merci.
Chanson numéro 14, Luxembourg, 5 points.
Chanson numéro 14, 5 points.
Well, as long as no more games are made on this front, it will be a flawless victory.
Et chanson numéro 14, Luxembourg, 3 points.
Chanson numéro 14, 3 points.
Dang, the votes have dried up for the United Kingdom. What's going on here?
Song number 14, Luxembourg, 4 votes. And this
Chanson numéro 24, 4 points.
And this completes the voting of the Austrian jury. Good night.
Good night.
Oh, wait, pause. Where did the UK get 4 extra points from?
Chanson numéro 15. Mademoiselle la flèche blanche. Je vais vous remonter un tout petit peu.
Oh, just there we go.
Alors qu'il y a une erreur. Vous aviez compté dans la salle.
This 25-21 is the right score, and it's going down to the wire yet again. How will this battle end?
Chanson numéro 14, 4 points.
Chanson numéro 14, 4 points.
Oh, it's gonna happen again, huh?
Chanson numéro 2, Monaco, 1 point. Chanson numéro 9, France, 2 points. Chanson numéro 10, Suisse, 1 point.
Chanson numéro 12, Norvège, 1 point. Chanson numéro 14, Luxembourg, 2 points. Chanson numéro 15, Royaume-Uni, 3 points.
Chanson numéro 15, 3 points.
Ceci termine les votes espagnols.
Well, we finally have another first-time winner, this time in Luxembourg, with probably the best song in the winner's circle. A win for Luxembourg, for France really, and for LGBT people everywhere, I think. And most importantly, a 3-peat for the United Kingdom. Let's go. At least we're not going back to France.
Car le ciel est avec nous, les amoureux.
And here we have another new location for the Grand Prix, and this time it's Luxembourg. Luxembourg. The Grand Duchy hosts the contest for the first time, and they will do it with no new changes in the lineup, as everyone returned from London the year before. However, there was a change in the voting system, as the one juror, one vote system was replaced by one that was meant to share the love a bit more. Just kidding. This move was made as a time crunch, since last year's show ran over time, so much so that the BBC had to cut off the broadcast. Jurors now give their 3 favorite songs 3, 2, and 1 points accordingly. If you do the math, you'll find out that the points pool shrinks by a lot. This will make what happens next not surprising at all. This show really highlights something that I have not mentioned much, but several singers from previous contests returned, a phenomenon that will become as old as the contest itself. Case in point, Belgium entrant Flawed made his 4th appearance at the Eurovision Song Contest, which was a record at the time. Unfortunately, this will be his lowest point at the contest. And he was not the only repeat performer, as Luxembourg's Camilo Felgen and Monaco's Francois Duguel competed for their countries for the 2nd time after both appearing in 1960. And Jean-Philippe competed for Switzerland after competing for France in 1959. The show also highlights a main struggle that ESC had, especially in its early years, and will continue to have. Time. I mentioned before, or with the whole time restraints thing, well, EBC having to cut off their coverage last year, but yeah, the ESC is starting to get longer, and with all these countries in it as of now, and of course the spectacles like the interval acts and the voting sequences as well. As mentioned, one change was made, presumably on that front with the jury's points, but the time between acts tonight would be a lot shorter. This whole contest as a whole would have an economic feel. It didn't help that there were 2 power outages during this event, making this contest very cheap. Look very cheap, I should say. Once during the Netherlands performance, and another after France's one. But enough Debbie Downing, let's get to the music. Yes. This song is about a bird. Distant third, I'm telling you. But man, this one is catchy. Let's see where it finishes. This is actually the peak for a Finnish language song for Finland for a long time. I mean, a whole lot better than... Congratulations, Belgium. Because you performed first, you technically have achieved a Eurovision treat, the infamous no point, a tradition that will endure throughout the generations. Sad way for FUD to go. And the reason why I said technically is because... Man, only 2 years in for Spain and they've already achieved no point as well. Rough. This song's actually not that bad, but like with FUD, this is probably a direct result of not having enough pie to go around. Well, it can't get much worse. You would think the jurors would give love to this kind of song. It's the opera, for crying out loud. If I was a juror, I would have given it a point. But it seems that I'm not a juror because, you know, these jurors just completely disagree with me. That's 3 no point. And all these songs went right after each other. So these songs all got no point back to back to back. Yikes. The Netherlands act this year was a duo that doubled as a magic act. Now you see them, now you don't. Man, considering the picture quality of the time, seeing nothing but black tuxedos is a bit eerie. But you know what else is eerie? All those potential points they could have got also disappeared. 6 editions without a single no point, and then 4 in 1. My goodness.
Un premier amour, premier amour, premier amour ne s'oublie jamais, s'oublie jamais, s'oublie jamais.
You know, this is probably my favorite French ballad of France. This bar isn't particularly high, but I mean, it's a bit sultry, it has a bit of mystique about it, and well, it doesn't bore me as much. I'm trying here, man. I actually like Yugoslavia's entry this year, and it really is more trying to conform to the French chanson, but I appreciate the subtleties that make it its own. Of course, its biggest difference is while the others are singing in French, Novakovic is singing in Serbio-Croatian, which is something that will unfortunately always hold back Yugoslavia from winning, I'm afraid. Or maybe not. But fourth, or tied for fourth, it's pretty good. You're starting to see that I'm adding a lot of songs in general, just to get an overall flavor of this contest. But anyway, man, even though this song is decent, it reminds me of a Christmas tune due to all the... It really makes you think, what really would have happened if the United Kingdom actually embraced their pop culture in this contest? Actually, I know the answer. It will result in a lot less second places, but not in a good way. Goodbye to you too. Well, here's the interval. Oh, whoa!
Daar komt opeens een vreemde man.
Oh, that's a comedic act. Carry on. What is he doing to that trumpet? Anyways, the voting ceremony. I'm not gonna lie, this one is uneventful. France took the lead after 3 jurors and they never looked back, receiving max points 5 times. Fun fact, Germany did this.
That concludes the German vote, but before we sign off, we'd like to thank you for a fine program.
Guten Abend.
This was a first, I think. At the end, the race became who would get second, which Monica would achieve. But yeah, another French victory. Like I said, this one is my favorite of the French winners. But yeah, another ballad wins. And you can start to see a pattern forming. Of the 7 winners, 5 were in French. French was the language of Eurovision, and it had the chokehold over everyone. It seems like France, or a French song, would always win, right? Well, not for too much longer. Well, I guess we do return to France. Oh, never mind. Just like with the Netherlands, France did not have the finances to host a 3rd contest in 5 years, which is understandable. These shows are expensive, and doing them back to back like that would bankrupt anyone, especially back then. I don't know why I say especially back then. I don't know the finances of how all companies operate in the 50s, but whatever. And because the next 2 options are Monaco, which is tinier than Luxembourg, and Luxembourg, who just hosted themselves, that meant for the 2nd time, we have our friendly neighborhood, the United Kingdom, to offer London for this year's Grand Prix. The same game as before, but this contest would be very different stylistically from others before it, as you will see. Since we are back in London, the wonderful Katie Boyle would take up hosting duties for the 2nd time at the BBC Television Centre, a recently built building for, well, television. It's perfect. And with a newly built centre comes exciting new possibilities for presentation, options that the UK took in kind. The setup of this contest is rather unique. as the host, the audience, and the scoreboard were all located inside one studio, while all the contestants were inside another. This setup would lead to some very creative performances, some of the best that we've seen up to this point. This did lead to accusations of lip syncing, as the performers did not use a visible microphone during their performance, and that the acts pre-recorded their entries. But because of the studio structure, they just placed a mic above their heads sitcom style. And as for that other reason, well, I mean, they didn't pre-record them. That's just not the case. With everything happening, it seemed all like an illusion, like with the Netherlands last year. Speaking of, I just wanted to include them here to showcase the use of the studio space, incorporating new props, and being able to move a lot more. That's all. There's nothing else to note here.
Sei quasi fatta per me, dipinta per me, Claudia.
This song is about a man struggling from success. Oh, in 1950s form, as you can see with all the women he shows. This performance is great and it really utilizes the space well, even if it is a bit sexist and, reinforces a lot of Italian stereotypes. But of all the studio entries, this one is the best for me. But for the song performance itself, that will go to Finland, of course. Oh wait, we're too early. Whoopsies. I actually meant this is gold. I think the swirls behind the married couple of Grit and Jörgen Ingemann really drive home how hypnotizing and enticing this song performance is. Her voice and his guitar complement each other fantastically, setting the mood for what is my favorite song so far. This is really good, man. I actually was really surprised how much I like this song. You should go listen to it like right now. It's really good, especially considering the standard of the time. Yeah, even then by itself, it's really good. Fun fact, the singer for Switzerland, Esther Ofram, is Israeli, and her voice is lovely. Maybe I'm starting to come around on songs like these. Miss Françoise Hardy would go on to have a great career in music, being a prominent voice in French yee music. Or is it no? Is it yeah music? It's yeah music. Why did I say yee? Which sounds exactly what you think it is, as the word derives from yeah, which was popularized by the Beatles. That's like the third time I've mentioned them. Huh. She would also become a French cultural icon as she released 30 albums in the 50 years she spent in music. That's like Prince levels of efficiency. Well, it's almost Prince levels of efficiency. Yeah. Greek Nana Mouskouri would go on to have a great career too, both musically and as a politician, as some of her songs rose to prominence internationally. She would record around 450 albums in at least 13 languages, and she would be nominated to be a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador in 1993. Oddly enough, her first mission would take her to Yugoslavia. Well, actually, that's actually not true. It wasn't to Yugoslavia, but I'll get to that when I get there in the 90s. She also was the first person to perform wearing glasses. Glasses Squad represents. For reference, your host, me, is wearing glasses. This interval act was a man and a woman riding around on a bicycle endlessly while doing neat tricks. Neat. The voting sequence was a good one for several reasons. They changed up the jury system a bit for this year. Instead of a 10-man jury, the size grew to 20, and instead of the top 3 getting points, it would be the top 5 receiving points, from 5 to 1. This grows the pie considerably, but for some, it didn't matter.
Now you'll be able to follow the voting procedure quite easily on the scoreboard. You will hear each jury chairman call out first the number of the song, then the country of origin, and finally the number of votes awarded to each song. Now, if by any chance a jury doesn't answer when I call, then I'll move on to the next jury and come back to them at the end. And if all else fails, on the other end of this telephone, there is a Eurovision official, and he will be able to contact the countries, and they'll be double-checking on the votes as they are recorded on the board as well.
Starting off in song order, previous years they did it in reverse song order. The UK gives Switzerland the initial lead.
Song number 10, Switzerland, 5 votes.
But the Netherlands would give Denmark the lead shortly after. And after Austria's votes, it was quickly looking like a 2-horse race for the prize. But then something curious happens.
Thank you very much, Vienna. Well, at the moment it seems to be between Switzerland and Denmark. Let's go straight on to Norway. Hello, Oslo. May I have your vote, please?
Hello, London, this is Oslo. Here are the votes of the Norwegian jury. Song number 1, England, 5 votes. Song number 2, Italy, 4 votes. Song number 3, Switzerland, 3 votes. Song number 4, Denmark, 2 votes. Song number 3, Germany, 1 vote. And that completes the vote of the Norwegian jury.
Well, hold on, Norway, hold on, Oslo, just one moment. I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to give those votes all over again, because first you have to give the number on the board, then the name of the country. I don't think we did quite do that. Would you do it just again, please? All your votes starting from number, whatever it is, 1 song.
Norway seemed to give out the votes in descending order, not in song order, as apparent by calling the wrong song number for each country after United Kingdom. In fact, he seems to realize this at the end. He made a mistake, as he said the correct song number for Germany before doing this.
I don't know what number.
Hello, London. Can you come back to Oslo?
Oslo? May I come back afterwards to Oslo? Right.
Yes, please.
Then at the moment we will go on to Italy.
Well, while they get everything in order, let's continue, shall we? Assuming Norway's votes are correct, after Italy gives theirs, Switzerland grabs an apparent lead over second place Denmark. After a couple more rounds of voting, at the halfway mark, Switzerland still has their advantage over Denmark. Switzerland would cut their lead down, as they give Denmark 3 points to make the score 26 to 25, though Italy and France are starting to join the party, as they have 23 and 20 points respectively. Things are starting to heat up here.
Well, the race is definitely between Switzerland and Denmark, with Italy and France coming up closely. Oh, United Kingdom there too. Not lose hope yet. Let's go straight on to Spain. Hello, Madrid. May I have your vote, please?
Hello, London. This is Madrid, and here are the votes of the Spanish jury. Song number 1, United Kingdom, 5 votes. Song number 10, Switzerland, 4 votes. Song number 6, Italy, 3 votes. Song number 9, Yugoslavia, 2 votes. And song number 11, France, 1 vote.
Spain would shake up the top 4, and as along with Switzerland having a slight advantage, they were no longer just battling Denmark, but Italy and the United Kingdom. Up next, Sweden.
Let's go straight on to Sweden. Hello, Stockholm. May I have your vote, please?
Hello, London. This is Stockholm. Here are the votes of the Swedish jury. Song number 1, United Kingdom, 2 votes. Song number 8, Denmark, 5 votes. Song number 10, Switzerland, 1 vote.
Oh.
Belgium would continue the Denmark train, giving the Danish max points, and Switzerland 4 points, and the scores were tied. On to Monte Carlo.
Let's go straight on to Monaco. Hello, Monte Carlo. May I have your vote, please?
Allô Londres, ici Monaco. Voici le vote du jury monégasque. Chanson numéro 1, Royaume-Uni, 1 point. Chanson numéro 3, Allemagne, 3 points. Chanson numéro 6, Italie, 5 points. Chanson numéro 10, Suisse, 4 points. Chanson numéro 11, France, 2 points. Chanson numéro... Ah, je m'excuse. Numéro 16, 1 point.
Merci,
Merci. Ceci termine le vote du jury monégasque.
In their excitement, I think Monaco gave 1 extra point, but that doesn't matter. What does matter is that Switzerland does pull ahead, and unless Luxembourg behinds a miracle, the creators would have another contest under their belts. The drama.
Merci, Monaco. Well, Switzerland still in the lead. Let's go to Luxembourg. Hello, Luxembourg. May I have your vote, please?
Hello, London. This is Luxembourg. Here are the votes of the Luxembourg jury. Song number 6, Italy, 4 votes. Song number 8, Denmark, 5 votes.
There's no way.
Song number 10, Switzerland, 3 votes. Song number 11, France, 1 vote. Song number 15, Monaco, 2 votes. And that completes the votes of the Luxembourg jury.
Oh man, it almost happened. But it looks like Switzerland will pip Denmark to the Grand Prix. Oh wait, that's right. We still need Norway to confirm their votes. Let's just get it over with.
Well, now we have to go back to Norway for a very decisive vote. Oslo, would you please come in and repeat your vote, please?
Yes, hello London, this is Oslo. Here are the votes of the Norwegian jury. Song number 1, England, 5 votes. Song number 3, Germany, 2 votes.
Huh?
Song number 6, Italy, 3 votes. Song number 8, Denmark, 4 votes. Song number 10, Switzerland, 1 vote. And that completes the vote of the Norwegian jury.
43. I thank you very much, Oslo.
Well, what an ending. Oh,
I think all the votes are in, but they're not quite up right. Hello? I see, I'm very sorry. Right. I'm afraid I shall have to ask Monaco to come back onto the line because they gave 1 vote too much.
okay, while Monaco gives out 1 less point, let me just explain what just happened. Norway's initial point tally was off. At the beginning, this was their point tally. They gave the United Kingdom max points, Italy 4, Switzerland 3, Denmark 2, and Germany 1. But at the end, the UK's points were still the same at 5, but this time Denmark gets 4, which was 2 points more. Italy gets 3 points, which is 1 point less for them. Germany gets 2 points, which was 1 more for Germany. And Switzerland got 1 point, which was 2 points less for them, which was massive, because that 4-point swing they had between Denmark and Switzerland essentially flipped their scores. And instead of Switzerland getting their second, it is
Denmark with the song Danserviser
who claims the victory in history. The first duo to win the Eurovision Song Contest, the first Scandinavian country to win the Grand Prix, and they stamped the French dominance at the competition. As you can expect, there was some outrage at this, as some people accused Norway of rigging the votes for their neighbors. Well, what most likely happened is that Norway was caught off guard when they initially gave their points, and they probably didn't have their full results ready. Again, it was a 20-juror team, so it takes a while. It takes longer for them to get their votes, which led to some inconsistency. Wow, but this contest was one for the books, and I cannot wait to see what a Danish ESC looks like. So, remember when I said that there were 2 ESCs that weren't recorded? Well, A, good on you for remembering that. That was a while ago. And B, well, that technically is not true. The 9th edition of the Eurovision Song Contest in 1964 was taped, unlike 1956. There are clips on YouTube that can prove this. The problem is that there are no known recordings of this contest, making this one the other Grand Prix that doesn't have much video footage, aside from the winner's reprisal in both 1956 and in this year. Rumor says that there was a fire at the studios of the Danish broadcaster DR in the 70s that wiped it all out, but the others say that the DR never recorded the show in the first place, which is not unusual for this time period. Again, recording video was expensive. You have to get a lot of tape to be able to do that. And what they did is that they had a television and they put the camera in front of the television to record it, which I think it did something to the camera. I can't remember, but that was how they did it. That's how they taped it, at least recorded it. So yeah, it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, actually. But in any case, there is no video, or not much video. So we're gonna go full radio. And I'll try to make this one quick, but no promises. It's a shame that there are no full recordings, because there was a lot that happened this year. So much for making this quick. For one, even though 16 countries participated, like it had been for the last couple years, a new country makes their debut. Portugal. Radio e Televisión de Portugal. Portugal will replace Sweden, who would not be here due to a strike among members of the Swedish Union for Performing Arts and Film. This would be the first, but not the last of these strikes. Portugal's appearance would bring up issues that I've been meaning to get around to, and that is the politics surrounding this contest. Before, most of the issues concerning that were the alliances that were allegedly made when it came time for voting during the ESC. Aside from the becoming glaringly obvious block voting, I said before in 1963 that there were outcries after Norway's second vote. Mainly those came from the Switzerland delegation, who accused them of rigging the vote once they saw an opportunity for their neighbor to win, which is quite simply preposterous and of course just not true. In a past contest, I believe it was Belgium's, don't quote me on this, representative slash spokesperson slash somebody important, saying that they need to create a bloc against the French countries. That is one thing. But what about the countries representing the broadcasters? I made it apparent that this contest is between the broadcasters who represented the countries, not the countries themselves. But that line was getting murky. Case in point, Spain and Portugal, who at this point in history are ruled by 2 dictators in Francisco Franco and Antonio de Oliveira Salazar, respectively. During this contest, after the Swiss entry, a man ran onto the stage holding a banner that read, "Boycott Franco and Salazar." You could hear it during the audio recording, actually, and there are pictures of it. Funnily enough, I will mention these 2 names again, as ESC plays an important role in both of these countries' futures, but that's for another day. As for the contest itself, it looks gorgeous, from what I've seen. Denmark really went all out for this one, as the Tivoli's Concertsaal looks beautiful, and they even got an open performance from the Royal Guard, a new scoreboard, a good interval act. If only it was all recorded. But on to the audio, I guess, actually. Can you tell he did a bunch of Bob Dylan covers? I'm actually gonna do something different here. I'm not gonna show you these next songs in song order, which I have been doing. You know, Portugal, they're gonna do their own thing at this contest pretty stubbornly, and I commend them for it. Case in point, this song got 0 points, making Portugal the first country to not get any points in their debut. But they're doing their own thing. This song would also get blanked by the jurors. You'll see how ironic this will be later. This song, which precedes this, The Stage of Vader, and proceeds Yugoslavia, also got nada. It's just so sad. This song sounds like one you would listen to strolling through the river, huh? For that, you get 2 points. I really love the harmonies here. They just create one big voice. So obviously they deserve 1 big point. Now, as I alluded to earlier, the interval act was one to watch. Yeah, I know. With the ballet dance performance by the dancers Solveig Ostergaard, Niels Kelhat, Ing Olafsen, and Mette Honningen from the Royal Danish Ballet. Those pronunciations are atrocious, I'm so sorry. They really went all out for this. Again, it's just a crying shame I never get footage for it. I really harp on this because it's just like this contest seems like a very transformative one, and it just wasn't recorded. You know, I watched a bit of the reordering Eurovision board, which they provide really good videos. Basically, they have every Eurovision that doesn't have a board that reorders itself after every juror or every spokesperson that announces their points, which was basically from 1957 all the way to 2002, which was the last contest to not have a scoreboard that reorders, because after 2003 they finally used the technology for it. And yeah, I saw like a bunch of like the pictures, because they were able to like recreate like what was happening on stage with a lot of very impressive 3D models, and it's like it looks so nice. I'm so sad it just doesn't exist. And also the reordering board, that's why I was going to go with this. The reordering board suggests that we were pretty lucky that the contests up until now were actually recorded. Again, the technology was kind of scarce. So, you know, maybe I should be counting my blessings instead of, you know, harping on it. But it's crazy because every contest after this will be recorded too. So whatever. I'll just get to the voting structure. The voting structure was tweaked once again. We are now back to 10-member juries for each country, but this time each member had 3 points to give for up to their 3 favorite songs. It could be only their top 2, or they can just give points to just one song. All these points were tallied, and the top 3 songs would be reported 5, 3, and 1 point respectively. If there were 2 songs worthy for them, the top 2 would get 6 and 3 points. And if all the members decided that only 1 song was good enough for them, aka collusion, that 1 song would get 9 points. So it's like a 1, 3, 5, 3, 6, 9 system, I guess. But don't worry, no songs will get marked higher than 5, so no collusion. And funnily enough, the EBU believed that this system would prevent 0-point songs. But 5 of the 6 songs that I mentioned up there have a combined 3 points, and there were 4 songs that got nothing that night. Oh god. Those last 5 songs came all right after each other too, but I did miss one. Song number 12, and I failed to mention them because if I did, well, this entry would be over. The very moment this song ended, the contest was decided right then and there. It was a song that acted as a black hole in which all points would be sucked in, leaving few for the others around it. And this game ender, this ESC crusher, it would be one of the sweetest ballads ever, and it came from
avrei nulla da dirti, perché tu sai molte più cose.
3 points.
Monaco, 3 points.
Lasciati un
Italie, 5 points.
Italie, 5 points.
Italy, 5 points.
Italy, 5 points.
Italy, 5 points.
Italy, 5 points.
And Italy, 5.
Italy, 5.
Italy, 5 points.
Italy, 5 points.
Italie, 5 points.
Italie, 5 points.
Et ce qui termine le vote du jury portugais.
À l'Italie, 5 points.
À l'Italie, 5 points.
Italie, 5 points.
Italie, 5 points. Vi har nu fået stemmerne hjem fra alle de 16 lande, og der er vist ingen tvivl om vinderen. Vinderen af Grand Prix Eurovision 1964 blev Italien med 49 point.
Off of a flawless victory, the 10th edition of the ESC was hosted in Naples, Italy. Country, of course, being the birthplace of the contest that would inspire this one, Sanremo. It feels weird that it took 10 years for us to get here, but I digress. We now have a new record of participants because with the 16th that participated last year, Sweden coming back from their hiatus, and Ireland, represented by Radio Television, RTE, making their debut, we now have 18 countries in this jamboree. It's getting kind of big, huh? For the first time ever, ESC was broadcasted to Eastern Europe, which leads me to a bit of a side tangent. The ESC was formed by the European Broadcasting Union, the EBU, and we all know this. But the EBU did not encompass all of Europe. Actually, not even close to it. Of course, after the end of the World War II, Europe for the next half-century would be divided into, with its western half and the Eastern Bloc, famously divided along the Iron Curtain. Now, I did mention this a little bit with Yugoslavia, but they were able to escape or get out of that Iron Curtain, and that's the reason why Yugoslavia is participating in Eurovision. Now, with the Iron Curtain, for all of you that know your history, it wasn't actually a curtain, but for all intents and purposes, it basically was. Any country that was on the eastern side of this wall, which includes the country that was literally divided by a wall just 4 years prior, Germany, was under the thumb of the USSR, the Soviet Union. You all are probably familiar with the economic, cultural, and political differences between those two sides. Basically, everyone in the western half was more economically prosperous, while the eastern side... But for the purposes for this video, I'm just going to talk about the broadcasting side of this. The Eastern Bloc had their own version of the EBU, the International Radio and Television Organization, or OIRT. And with that, they had their own version of Eurovision, called Intervision. This contest, which launched in 1965, and it ran until 1980. And more or less, I'm kind of lying on that. And during its run, several countries that were in ESC were also in this contest as well. Belgium, Finland, the Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, Switzerland, Yugoslavia, and several more countries that would eventually join ESC all competed here. Intervision changed things up all the time compared to its Western sister, which is kind of crazy because ESC itself was changing things up a bit, including how they pick the winner and sometimes even offering multiple contests for its participants. It's kind of pretty neat actually. It was a nice alternative to Eurovision. Now, Intervision isn't remembered as much today due to, in part to, well, this. And on a whole, saying that the ISC ran for 15 years is a bit misleading. They actually ran from 1965 to 1968, holding contests in Czechoslovakia, then from 1977 to 1980 in Poland, replacing another contest that they had there. The IC just never got popular, and because of the attempts of organizing such a competition were a bit lackluster, the IC left and never returned. But yeah, this contest, ESC 1965, was the first time it had been broadcast to the majority of the countries in Intervision, which played a big part in how ESC started to grow internationally. This contest is actually very important in the grand scheme of things. What happened on this night, Saturday, the 20th of March, 1965, would transform the makeup of this contest primarily for two reasons, but we'll get to them later. Now, the first question, why Naples? Well, according to Wiki, it turns out that the RAI, like the BBC a few years before, also had a new building to show off, La Sala di Concerto della RAI, or RAI Concert Hall. This space not only allowed for a prettier contest to be hosted, but it allowed for more people to attend. Up to 1,000 people can be in the audience. And also, Naples had the facilities, and the RAI wanted to honor the musical history of the town as a center for music in Europe, including the prestige Napolitana holds. There we go. So really, this is the most viewed ESC by far, both inside and outside the hall. Conny van der Bos was an established singer by this point, and you can tell with his performance. It's very bouncy. I like it a lot. Now, I actually have an ulterior motive for putting her here, but it won't come up again for another 43 years. Now, I want to thank the Reorder board Eurovision for this fact, because it makes what happens next so much more funny. Miss Kirby was the first woman to perform to the UK since 1959, as she was named in a Masking poll as the top British female singer, ahead of such names as Celia Black, who had multiple #1 hits in 1964, and was championed by her friends, the Beatles. That's the fourth one. Can I get one more? One more! One more and I get a free ice cream, man. Dusty Springfield was one of the leading figures behind the swinging 60s, think roaring 20s, but for music and in the United Kingdom. And Petula Clark, who was named the First Lady of the British Invasion. That's what brought the Beatles to the States. Like, #5, let's go! And had 9 US top 20 hits in the US between January of this year, 1965, to 1968. And Kathy Kirby was ranked above all of them, which just shows you how popular she was at the time. I also have ulterior motives for including her here as well, but that payoff will happen a lot sooner. Just know that she was a pre-contest favorite. I just want to say, I really enjoy the beginning parts of Spanish songs here. Now, that will be a theme that will happen a lot. Que bueno indeed.
Nobody knows I am crying.
Apparently, Ireland never got the memo that we are done with these songs, man. and somehow, this got points. And Portugal just did it. Oh my gosh.
Sag ihr, ich lass sie grüßen.
Hey, it's Udo again, and would you look at that? He would achieve Austria's best performance up to this point. He's starting to get the hang of this ESC thing.
And this is a most bewitching night.
Sweden apparently came back with a different game plan, and here is domino #1. Sweden is singing in English. The first time a country is singing outside of its national/official languages. The EBU would take notice and make sure that this will not happen ever again. Now, this rule that you had to sing in your country's language is an unwritten one, but 10 years in and no one really went outside this line. But now they did, and now the unwritten rule will become a written one, and nobody sang outside their language ever again. Thumbs up.
Eu entro que de nada, tem tudo na vida.
All I have in my notes is, through 2 appearances, Portugal has 1 point. Oh, wow.
Canta France-Galles.
Et France-Galles.
This is cinema. Through 10 years of ESC, I have not heard any song like this, and it's so refreshing. The needle in the ballad-laden haystack, the drop of water in the sand. I've been waiting for anything from the current times, aka the 60s, to bleed over here, and it's finally here. This song is, well, actually my favorite from the first 10 years of ESC, just above Jens Fietsen, due in no small part to the team up of Francis Gall singing in the orchestra. She does it so casually. This song, well, actually that part is a bit ironic considering the story behind this song, but this song, in truth, is quite a sad one once you know the backstory. It's also a long one, but I'll try to simplify it. This song is a bit of a complicated one, as it was composed by a man in Serge Gainsbourg that loved to use a lot of puns, wordplay, and double meanings. Gal is singing about a singer who sees herself as a wax doll / singing doll, which is the name of the song, with the son of her blonde hair, and Francis Gall does have blonde hair. You have to take my word for that. I know, black and white. Many people who talk about this song see a lot of similarities between the subject of this song and Gall herself. Of course, like I said, the mention of the blonde hair, how she is singing of a subject that she doesn't know about, which in this case was love, while Gall herself did not understand what she was completely singing about, again with all the double meanings, and that she was 17 too, so she probably wasn't at the age to quite understand all the things she was singing about. And the fact that the singing doll was controlled through her songs, indicating that Gainsbourg controlled Gall through his music. This song is a bit exploitative, and it certainly didn't help that the two made another song called Les Sucettes, which is about lollipops. I'm not gonna explain that one anymore. The last lyrics of the song also are something, but someday she, the wax doll, will be able to actually live her songs without fearing the warmth of boys. Considering what I've been reading, how that's been in the innocent context, goodness. So, quite simply, Francis Gall disowns this song, Gainsbourg, and this contest altogether. Though some of that in part probably comes from what happens next, which is completely understandable. Oh, well, on that happy note, on to the next. Here's the interval. Cool. The voting itself is, for the most part, straightforward. There were no changes to the voting format. It's the same 1, 3, 5, 3, 6, 9 format. Oh yeah, something I forgot from 1964. They actually have a scrutineer to verify the voting that was on the stage. He was there on the stage for 64 as well, but Mr. Miroslav Vilcek did that job tonight, and for the most part, this is how it went down. Luxembourg grabbed the lead after 1, and for the most part, they never looked back. The United Kingdom would not let Luxembourg get away completely, but they got away. Funnily enough, Luxembourg's biggest marks came from countries where French was not the dominant language, and many of the French-speaking countries didn't give Luxembourg many points. It's almost as if they understood the double entendres in that song. But yeah, it's a second Luxembourg victory, and with it, change was gonna come to this competition. This song would be a massive hit in the majority of countries in Europe, and this popularity this song would reach would force a new type of song into the spotlight. No longer would ballads rule completely. Pop would now claim a share of the Grand Prix, and the type of songs that will compete and win ESC would be a lot different to the first 10 years of this competition. But for the first 10 years of the Eurovision Song Contest formed a solid foundation that would carry this contest through the next decades. But its next decade would prove to be one of its most transformative. Like a butterfly in its cocoon, you will find some of the most beautiful and iconic parts contained within. But within the same notion, you will also find the cocoon, which itself has some of its worst components, parts that will threaten the butterfly as a whole. This metaphor has become a bit lost, but what I mean to say is that great things are about to happen, but also not some great things. But that is a story for another day. Now, there was something I wanted to say about Francis Gall's victory, but I couldn't find room in the script, so I decided to put it here. France Gall did not have a great time in Naples for ESC 67. Oh, sorry, not 67, 65. On the ESC 65 page, they have this long paragraph about her night here, and it was kind of a nightmare for what it looks like. Now, she, again, like I said, she was only 17 when she performed, which makes this song even creepier in hindsight. She was the second youngest winner in ESC history, behind Chiquetti a year earlier. I don't know if I would have placed that stat during her performance, but I do know that I would mention it in the future, because Chiquetti doesn't have that record anymore, but the person in question has not been born yet, so I'll leave it for that. Anyways, yeah, according to the wiki, Gall's song was not popular with the orchestra because it's a fast song, and they did not like that. So they booed and whistled at her when she was rehearsing. Oh my gosh. Gainsbourg, the maker of the song, insulted, oh, this was quoted, quote, insulted the orchestra and stormed out while threatening to leave Naples entirely and return to Paris, leaving Gall alone with an angry orchestra to finish the rehearsal. Yeah, and this only gets worse. Because of this ordeal, Gall became less confident in herself, which is partly seen in the performance itself. Apparently, she misses the first note of this song, but she does get the rest in my opinion. And honestly, the way she performs this song helps her a lot in her winning this. But for Gall, she didn't think so. She thought she was done, and she looked to her boyfriend, Claude Francois, who was a French singer, for support. She said, she was like, I sang out of key, I threw the competition, all that, stuff like that. And you know what Francois says in response? He was like, yeah, you did. You sang out of key. You probably did lose. Such a great boyfriend. But of course, Gall wins. The ultimate FU to everyone, apparently, except Gainsbourg, ironically. And before she goes out on stage, she calls Francois again because, that first time, she called Francois over the phone. And she does it, she goes on the phone the second time and says basically that, they're done. She broke up with him right there and then, which is like you go, girl. But the story doesn't even end there. Apparently, Kathy Kirby, who performed in the UK, was upset that she lost. She got second, which is number 5 for the UK. Remember, she was the favorite to win. So Kirby, in a rage, she goes to the Luxembourg delegation room, claims that the contest was rigged, a common theme for these types of things, and she slaps Gall in the face. Poor France Gall. She cried after that, Gall did, which the press interpreted as tears of joy, because they didn't know what happened backstage. But yeah, I would be done with Eurovision too after that as well. And considering everything with the song, yeah, it would be a miracle to have any positive memories with that, what she went through. At 17 as well, what a story.